But collecting objects isn't the only way to use a score. With the right logic, we could use a score gadget to record fastest times. If you've closed the score logic microchip, open it up again with L1 and X. First, we'll need a new score, so grab one from the Gameplay Gear menu. Stamp it down underneath the first score gadget. To differentiate them, we need to rename this score. Open its tweak menu, then select the title to rename it. I'm calling mine Time. Just like with the first score gadget, we also want to post the score at the finish line. So connect the detected output of the finish line to the post score input. As this is going to record time, we also need to tweak the default scoreboard settings. They can be found on the second page of the menu. First, change the score unit to time. We also need to change the scoreboard order. When ranking times, the lowest scores should be at the top. So select the option for lower, then move the tweak menu to one side. To see the time on screen, we'll need another number displayer. But there's no need to set up a new one from scratch. Just clone the one we made earlier. That way the appearance will match. Clone the number displayer with L1 and R2. Place it next to the time score gadget. To display time, we need to connect the current score to the number displayer input, just like we did before. In the Score Tweak menu, create a wire from the current score output port. Connect the wire to the number range input on the number displayer. Once that's hooked up, you can close the tweak menu of the score and open up the tweak menu for the cloned number displayer. As this number displayer is showing time, we need to tweak it slightly. In display format, select the clock icon to display time. The option Show Milliseconds is now selectable. Turn it on to make the time display even more precise. Use the options on the alignment page of the tweak menu to set the position of the number displayer. The collectible count is in the middle, so how about at the top, on the right? Select the score number displayer with X if you want to preview them on screen together. Looks good. In the next step, we'll create some logic to record the time. To record the time, we can use a timer. Go to the Assembly menu, then select Gadgets. Close Gameplay Gear, then open Logic and Processing. The icon for the timer is a clock. Stamp it on the microchip canvas to the right of the start line trigger zone. Leave a bit of space, as we'll also need to add a counter. This will turn the signal from the trigger zone into a constant signal, so it stays on even after Connie has left the trigger zone's detection area. The counter also lives in the Logic and Processing menu. Select it with X and stamp one between the start line and the timer. If you've played our wiring and logic tutorial, you might already know how to connect up the timer and the counter. But here's a reminder in case you've forgotten. Start by creating a wire from the start line trigger zone's detected port. Connect it to the increase count input of the counter. When Connie crosses the start line, the counter will increase and the counter full port will send a constant signal. The counter full output then connects to the start timer input. This simple bit of logic ensures that the timer will keep on ticking until we tell it to stop. In the next step, we'll tweak the timer. Let's take a look at the timer's tweak menu. Open it up with L1 and square. The timer requires a target time, but we don't want a time limit to complete the scene, so set the target time high enough that the player won't ever reach it. As the platforms disappear after a few seconds, it's impossible for Connie to survive forever. So 120 seconds should be enough time to complete the course. Below the sliders is the timer type. Right now it's set to count up. With this setting selected, the timer will keep counting until it reaches the target time, or until it's turned off. That's no good for recording a fastest time, so change the timer type to the speed setting. Its icon is a curved line. With the speed setting selected, the timer will only count while it's receiving an input signal. This makes it work like a stopwatch and will allow us to record a finish time with it. The timer is all set. Phew, almost there. Who thought logic could be so demanding? Now we just need to record the time as a score. We'll do that in the next step. To record the finish time, we need another score modifier. Go to the Assembly menu, select Gadgets, then Gameplay Gear. Grab a score modifier and stamp one to the right of the timer. Press Circle to unequip the gadget, then open the Score Modifier Tweak menu with L1 and square. In the score name box, select the score you created to record time. Hover over the box and use the up and down directional buttons to scroll through the different scores in the scene. There should only be 2 to choose from. To record the time with the score modifier, we need the timer's tweak menu, so open it up if it isn't already. In the tweak menu, create a wire from the output of the current time slider. Extend the wire over to the score modifier tweak menu, then connect it to the input of the operation value. Now the operation value will be set by the current time of the timer. This time the operation type can be left as set, as we don't need to add the current time to anything. But the update type should be changed to continuously while powered. This means the score modifier will continuously update the score with the current time. Let's test it quickly in play mode. Remember we hooked up a text displayer to the time score. So now that the time score is being modified, we can see it on screen. The only problem is that the time doesn't stop when Connie crosses the finish. So we'll fix that in the final step.